Hi, my name is Anna Hildebrand, and my capstone project is entitled Planting for Shenandoah's Future, a proposed planting and management plan for the overlooks of Shenandoah National Park. Shenandoah National Park is a 200,000-acre park in the Blue Ridge province of the Appalachian Mountains. It's located 75 miles from our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. When you visit Shenandoah National Park, you'll be greeted by beautiful forested mountain views. Visitors can enjoy hiking, camping, and driving along the scenic Skyline Drive. Shenandoah National Park was established in 1935. Skyline Drive was proposed to be its single greatest feature, a 105-mile road that winds along the ridge of the Appalachian Mountains. Along Skyline Drive, visitors can stop at 86 scenic overlooks that showcase the park's beautiful mountains and valleys. Shenandoah is facing many challenges related to overlook vegetation and maintenance. These challenges include the following: overgrowth. Vegetation consistently grows above the sight lines, meaning that overlook view sheds are blocked. Dying and diseased plants. Many plants and specimen trees that were planted and saved at the park's establishment have declined, and it's time for many replacements. Maintenance. Current maintenance strategies take a reactive approach and don't eradicate unwanted vegetation properly. A proactive maintenance approach will lighten the maintenance staff's load. My project aims to answer this question. How can we use overlooks plantings to design for Shenandoah's current and future challenges? To do this, I've set 3 goals. First, identify vegetation communities at the overlooks of Shenandoah National Park. Second, use these identifications to inform my planting palette and planting design. Third, research and provide education on a long-term maintenance strategy. This will ensure the success of the planting design. To create my overlook planting and maintenance plan, my first step was to complete an analysis of each overlook's characteristics and complete a vegetation analysis. Using GIS mapping and vegetation data research, I could filter each of the 86 overlooks into 5 different groupings based on vegetation needs. The inventory and analysis process led me to create 5 overlook vegetation typologies. These typologies are groupings of overlooks that share vegetation characteristics and thus can share a proposed planting palette. The following map provides identification of each overlook's typology. These diagrams further illustrate the characteristics of each vegetation typology, including slope, elevation, a description of each typology, and plants that you'd commonly find there. After identifying the vegetation needs of each overlook, my next step was to use this research to inform my planting palettes and planting design for each overlook. My planting strategy is to follow 3 principles. Design for the sightline so view sheds are kept clear into the future. Propose a simple planting palette that will be easy for park staff to implement. And lastly, ensure that overlook plants will provide foreground interest. I picked one overlook from each typology as an example in order to illustrate how each planting palette would be implemented in the landscape. My first example overlook, Calf Mountain, is located in the acidic oak pine and boulder field forest typology. Using the research I conducted on plants found in each vegetation typology, I was able to propose a planting palette that would be successful for each vegetation typology. In this example, the acidic oak pine forest palette includes plants such as pitch pine, mountain laurel, and bare oak. Plantings are placed according to the topography of Calf Mountain Overlook in order to ensure that view sheds will be maintained even when the plants are reaching maturity. I created this section in order to visualize how the planting palette proposal will keep sight lines clear and also provide visual interest. This section also illustrates how the planting palette can be applied to any overlook by measuring its topography. This before and after perspective shows how this planting strategy not only speaks to the vegetation and topography of Calf Mountain Overlook, it will also provide a more pleasing view and enriching visitor experience with foreground interest. By researching each vegetation typology's planting needs, I was able to create a planting palette and an example planting strategy for all 5 typologies. Using one overlook from each typology as an example, I hope to illustrate how each planting palette could be applied to any overlook in that typology. These graphics illustrate the implementation of the high elevation forest typology. Selected plants include hay-scented fern, beaked hazelnut, and gray dogwood. Here is another collection of graphics illustrating the implementation of the low and middle elevation mesic forest typology. Selected plants include bitternut hickory, maple leaf viburnum, and witch hazel. To ensure the success of the planting palettes, an overlook maintenance plan must be implemented to ensure the longevity of the planting design. The current maintenance approach is reactive, so vegetation clearing and maintenance is typically only done when there's a big problem, like a large amount of vegetation overgrowth. I'm proposing a more proactive approach that calls for more monitoring and removing problems at the onset when they're small. The proposed conditions-based maintenance approach uses plant maturation times to create 3 maintenance phases based on the plant's needs. During the establishment and maturation phases, plants will need more intensive care to ensure that the planting palette can crowd out unwanted vegetation. Once plants hit maturity, they are at their strongest and can compete with unwanted vegetation more easily on their own. The following maintenance palette provides details on each proposed maintenance phase and a schedule for required maintenance tasks. As shown in the graphic, maintenance needs taper off as the plant hits maturity. By completing monitoring tasks during its long-term maintenance phase, problems can be noticed early on, so they will be easier to take care of. This comprehensive planting and management plan aims to address current and future challenges that Shenandoah National Park is facing. This plan would likely take a long time to implement, but eventually the goal of this project would be reached, which is a planting design and long-term management plan that benefits the public's enjoyment of Shenandoah National Park.